Thank you.
So Bernie, I think you're up if you want to share. So PACE offers many, many services, which many of you have taken advantage of, but Bernie's going to share more about that. So
Great. Thank you, Deb. And I want to issue a challenge to everybody on this call. I'm going to throw out 3 words, and before I start on my quick remarks: Omicron, the National Rifle Association, and QAnon. Why I'm throwing those 3 words out as a challenge to us is they are among the most effective transmitters and communicators that I know. And so I really think that the challenge that Deb and Patrice and Liam put out there and the tools that they displayed, I want us, the next time we get together, to be more transmissible, more viral, more effective in more people's heads than the NRA, QAnon, and I'm going to use my middle finger on Omicron. But so that's our challenge. And thank you so much for those ideas. Let's see here. Can folks see that? Is that visible? So this is just in the vein of empowering the task force. This is an incomplete, meant more as a sampler and inspiration than conclusively covering the waterfront, but these are tools for your task force. First, some collaboration tools. You know, the motto of the United States, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. There are many of us here. I forget, maybe it was Georgianne that talked about the necessity of us coming together, focusing on particular issues. These are some tools to help us with that. I would urge all of you, when you go to the PACE website, to register for the PACE calendar. Those of us that use electronic calendars, it will push an event to your electronic calendar. And you can put your events on that calendar, and it will push it out to the community. So it is at once a way to keep you connected, to know what else is happening, and to allow you to broadcast what you are doing to the rest of the network. It sounds very prosaic. It's just a calendar, but please use it. One of the, Mark Twain said, showing up is like 80% of success. Oftentimes we collide, and so we show up, but we show up in we have 2 competing events. We don't have to do that because we can keep each other kind of in the loop. So please subscribe and please submit events. Another thing, and I imagine that most of you are already familiar with this, but the Green Energy News, which is Peter Millman curates, it's usually 5 or 6 local stories, local events, and you can subscribe on the webpage. But again, it brings us together as a network, enables us to be somewhat cohesive in our action. So collaboration. Let's see. You heard, and I just want to underscore what Liam is talking about. We're grandly calling it digital support. And that doesn't mean my middle finger. That means, but this idea with the race video, it doesn't have to be a singular event. This happened to be an electric vehicle car show that Liam and Deb worked on, but it could be like a 5-year recapitulation of electric street lights and a Heat Smart campaign and things like that. We can be Ken Burns like in our approach. So digital support, and the sort of the third kind of tools that we offer, and here we're really not conclusive, but data and analysis tools. And Napoleon, pictured below, he's a cute little fellow. An army marches on its stomach. That's what he said. I've got my own little Napoleon-like maneuver here. A clean energy task force marches on data. I'm a big believer, and I think the quantitative among us, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So let's start measuring what we are doing. And so just a couple thoughts along that. Let's see, did I skip over some? Nope, that's it. So one of the tools, and Patrice and I think, really keep an eye on this. I suspect it's underutilized. We've got the web address up there, but all of us with clean energy task forces should go to the CT Energy dashboard. This is a product of the utilities, and if we do not pay attention to it, it will gradually wither away. So we want all of us to swarm this website. There's a statewide dashboard that I don't often go to, but there's a Clean Energy Communities dashboard that allows you to click into your community. Every one of us is represented on this page. When you click on this page, and I'm not going to do it now, you'll see that lots of things are missing. And I think it's up to us to go there and say, hey, wait a minute. They used to have, who was the Clean Energy Task Force chair or something like that. It's not there anymore. So this is a real resource. And I think if we don't start paying more attention to it, we might lose it. There's lots of data here. It's a little bit hard to find sometimes, but it has program participation. So how many HES, HES-IE, how many installations, how many HVAC measures. Those of you doing small business energy advantage, there's a host for every single town. And for those of you who are competitors, one of the things they do is they offer the ability to compare towns. So you can compare West Hartford and Avon and Bolton, for example, just at random, 3 at a time. That's kind of fun to do. I would say I'm very proud of West Hartford, but if I put Bloomfield up, Bloomfield would beat the socks off of West Hartford. They're one of the top HES folks in the state. So this is a good tool. If you look at the blue box on the right, there's 3 reports that are available. There's annual reports for clean energy communities. That's your statistics. You should think of that as your report card. The second box, and it goes directly to what Sabina was talking about, view annual reports for aggregate energy. That's how much energy your town uses. Electric energy and natural gas, the 2 things that the utilities sell us. It doesn't have delivered fuels like propane and oil, but we track that every single year. And actually, it's an effort on our part to keep it up. It took us all year to get the numbers right for Eversource for 2020. They just put them up on December 31st. And you can also view installed renewables by town. So important.
Amazing.
One thing that Mark has done is taken the clean energy participation and put it into a beautiful spreadsheet, which we will share with this group. And you can look at your participation over time. So this happens to be West Hartford's participation in the residential program. There's a sort of a companion one, which we won't show you for the business side of things. But you can see the blue bars are HES. The orange bars, which sit on top of the blue bars, are HES income eligible. There's a thing that nobody knows about called renewable new construction. And the bars are year by year participation, and then the lines are cumulative over time. And just one quick takeaway as you look at this, as a West Hartford person look at this, and I say, look at that green line, look at the state. The state is 22%. Look at my town. I'm not even up to state average. So it lets you to know whether you are better or worse than the state average, and it allows you to track your progress over time. And I know I'm going fast, but these are more just to help us conceptualize what's there. Mark has put together also an aggregate energy consumption spreadsheet. So for Bloomfield over the last 5 years, how has their energy, this happens to be electric energy, how is that tracked through time? So it's a way to track your aggregate energy, and that's an indirect way to track how much greenhouse gas is being produced by your entire community. All of us like solar. I don't know how many of us know that there's a database out there, and I've got the web address up there. of every single residential solar installation in Connecticut since the beginning of time. And it's a wonderful resource. It allows us to do a lot of analysis, which we do in our energy model. So I just throw it out there as something we ought to look at. Another tool, and I actually saw, I think maybe it was Eric that posted it in the chat. What's my solar potential? This is Google. Mark, is it Google Sunroof? I think.
Yes.
It's a fantastic, I should have put the web address up there, but it's a fantastic resource. This happens to be a picture of New Haven. If you were to drill down, you could look at every rooftop. You could look at every single rooftop in New Haven, and the colors dictate or signify whether it's a good potential for solar or not. So you can look at it that way, or you can look at the potential for the entire town. So it says 79% of roofs, that's 19,000 rooftops, I guess. There's 25 million square feet of roof space that could host 353 megawatts of solar. So when you want to think about the bar, the potential, and it could be Ridgefield, it could be North Haven, it could be Fairfield. Most towns are in this Google Sunroof report. And again, it's something we incorporate when we can into the energy model, the PACE energy model, but it's something that you as energy task forces could also employ. What you're looking at here is the famous solar canopy analysis that Kieran Rudge, our intern, and Mark conducted. This, I think, Mark, is 8,400 parking lots in Connecticut. How exciting is that to talk about parking lots? You go to a cocktail party and you just get somebody in a corner and you start talking about parking lots. It's a great way to make friends. But what's exciting about this, and I've got the web address up here, you can hit that little web address and you can drill down to your town and let your town know what their solar canopy potential is. We have other databases and other analyses. We have vehicles by most towns. I think we have 160 towns at this point. As Liam sort of intimated, we can tell for Ridgefield or any other town that's given us the data, how many EVs you have versus how many internal combustions versus how many plug-in hybrids you have. That enables us to say things about how much greenhouse gas you're saving, how much farther you have to go to get to 100% electrification. We have a database that's not as far along as the auto database. But where we have it, it's based on your town grand list. It has every building in your town. It's got the year built, it's got the area of that building, it's got the heating fuel, it's got the heating system. A lot of information about every building in your town. Every town in Connecticut any of you can have access to this information. It's a struggle to get it from the towns. And so maybe we have over 100 towns, so we may or may not have your town. But our goal is to have every building in Connecticut in this database. That allows us to really say a lot of things about energy and how to improve our energy footprint. Really, I'm just clicking through here. The PACE town energy model is something this is how we've come across all these things. Everything that we've shown up to date is reflected in a town energy model. Those of you who have had an energy model run, keep it up. Any of you who have not had a town energy model run on your town, let us know. That's the foundation for a lot of what we're doing. And of course, webinars and presentations are another thing we do. As I said, I clicked through this at warp speed. I didn't spend enough time on any slide. And the reason I felt justified in doing that is that we're going to take all this information and more and put it under a web page that at this moment is under construction. But we will let you know when that web page gets up. It will have things about our Heat Smart campaign. It'll have digital services, education and events, and data and research. And with that, I will stop sharing. and I apologize for the speed.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you, Bernie.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Deb, I think you're on mute still.
Sorry, I was saying, looks like we ran through our discussion time pretty quickly, so wanted to check in with you and see what your preference is.
Yeah, that was a lot of material. Again, it reminded me of the good old days of meeting at the Energize CT Center, where everybody sort of just shared stuff they were doing. So in that spirit, I think that was a lot of information. We'll make sure, as Bernie pointed out, that all of those tools, I know there were some questions in the chat, where are they? How do I get them? Can I download them? We'll make sure that all of those are, it's clear where you can find those. If you need them in the meantime, reach out to us, but we'll make sure you have a complete list of where you can get them all. I think, officially we've gone through the agenda, but this is the part of the Connecticut Energy Network meetings where we would linger over a meal or just linger over the water cooler. So if you need to sign off, feel free to do that. But let's open up the floor. If anyone had any questions, discussion of what we've covered here, or of things that you're doing that you'd like to share with the group, the floor is yours. Liam.
Mark, I was going to mention one thing for kind of everyone in this group. If you know any students at UConn, I'm the founder and head the Clean Energy Society at UConn, and Dr. Bayugan, who's also in this chat, is our advisor. So if you know anyone at UConn who's interested in clean energy, any of these topics, reach out to me. We'd love to have them in the group.
Liam, can I ask you too to describe your under 30 work?
Sure. Well, we're going to be interviewing people, adults under 30, mostly, who are involved in the clean energy sphere. Anyone who's had to do with advocacy, legislative advocacy, just getting things done in this field. And it's pretty broad. So if you have recommendations, also anyone in the chat, anyone has recommendations for people that you'd like us to talk with, also reach out to me, and I'll put my email in the chat one more time.
And Liam, it's early on in the session, Kenny Fosque remarked on, we don't have a lot of diversity in the network. And actually that's on multiple scales. We don't have that diversity. Age, we tend to be on the older side. Often my hair color is sort of the normative hair color for those of you who don't dye your hair. And I think this was an overt effort on our part to engage the other generations. So I think right now, not to oversell what you're doing, hopefully we'll get more under 30s, but we could also broaden that outreach out to other communities that aren't really represented here today. So that's one example of trying to respond to what Kenny, the challenge he threw down early on.
Certainly.
No pressure, Liam.
It's all on you.
All on you, man.
We'll recruit some students from our class, Liam, this semester. We'll work on it.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that too, Dr. Bayugan.
Well, it will be nice. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it will be nice to regather. I guess the Energize CT Center is not there anymore, right? But in Middletown or somewhere, it will be nice to regather in person. It's great that Zoom has allowed us to continue the work.
No, Eversource stole it from North Haven, the Energy Center.
Is it somewhere else or gone?
I think it's gone. Somebody else might.
I think it's now supposed to be a mobile. So It's
Yeah.
it's a truck or a van.
A bus. It's a
A
bus.
It'll be hard to gather in, Bernie.
Yeah. A
But
bus
perhaps
that doesn't exist yet.
it's, at least in West Hartford, it's become very popular to have like gastro parks that are made up of trucks, food trucks and what have you. So maybe we can have an energy truck or something. We can find out
We
where.
should have one of our meetings in an electric school bus and just drive around and let everybody know.
There you
that
go.
Partridge Family.
Like a partridge family.
I'm impressed that you know who they are, Lynn.
Yeah, good one.
Maybe we could have an outdoor meeting at one of those gastro parks.
Yeah. We could have the bus come to a gastro park.
You should ask Eversource and UI if they're making this an electric bus.
No,
They're not.
I'll bet you a box of
I'll bet
donuts
you-
they're not.
I know. I think we should ask them to go back to the drawing board.
All right, I'm